I'm going to jump right in here. We have some awesome questions. I am so excited to interview Nicci, Nicci D'Amico Howard. I have been referring to her and her team for several years now. I just love her philosophy on nutrition because she is a mom, she's an athlete herself. She understands the hormonal impacts for women of diet and dieting, and she understands how stress over exercising can play a big role in weight loss challenges that many women face postpartum, and really at any phase of life or motherhood. She was a college athlete, she was a corporate woman, and she's now the founder of the Stress Less Lifestyle, which is an online platform for both nutrition and fitness coaching. She has certifications aplenty. She is a certified personal trainer, group fitness coach, a nutritionist. She has above and beyond certifications in pre and postnatal fitness, diabetes fitness, metabolic conditioning, and a swanky title PN1 SFR, which is sleep, stress management, and recovery nutrition. So things that all new mothers need, right? Sleep, stress management, and recovery. So I have some questions for Nicci, but if you are watching live, feel free to type in questions. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to figure out how to see them or answer them, but we can always answer them at a later date. What's that?
I'll look and see if I can see them. We'll see.
Okay.
I don't know.
I know I have the feed up, but it's delayed. So anyway, we'll see what happens. We're going to try to keep today, under 30 minutes. We know it's a busy morning and people have places to go, but if we have more questions, we can always answer them online in a different way. So I'll go ahead and go on with my questions. And then at the end, Nicci can tell you a little bit about the nutrition coaching program she has starting up on Monday, right?
Yeah.
And then if you feel like you need some individual guidance and accountability, you can check that out for your 2023 goals. But I want to ask some questions. Are you ready, Nicci?
Let's do it. Yes.
Okay, cool. Oh, and if you don't know me, I'm Dr. Sherry. I'm a pelvic floor, prenatal, postnatal physical therapist in San Diego. And so just so many of our clients, especially in the 10 years postpartum, have issues with weight management. How do I eat the best for maximizing my energy, losing the weight, getting back to the body type that I want to be, and feeling good. So that's kind of who I'm trying to serve with this interview. So hopefully you guys can get some good nuggets out of this. So my first question for Nicci is, how do postpartum hormones impact weight loss or weight gain?
Okay. So postpartum hormones, very similar to menopausal hormones, what they really do when your hormones are out of whack is it kind of slows down your movement, your energy. So hormones themselves run everything in your life, your energy, your energy production, how you process carbs, or how your body reacts to carbs. And when you're postpartum, you are what most of you, not everyone, is going to be what's considered like insulin resistant in a way. In insulin resistance is something you hear a lot when you're like pre-diabetic or PCOS or things like that. And that's really, PCOS is really just an imbalance in hormones, and it's very similar to being postpartum. And so your body's just kind of reacting to what it already went through. And the beauty thing about being postpartum and hormonal is that it can fix a lot easier than someone who's born with PCOS, or if you're pre-diabetic or something like that. It's going to fix. And if you do everything right, then you can fix them quicker and get kind of back to normal. So when you're postpartum, we all think that, so our hormones are messed up, and your hormones are gonna have different, so your hormones are chemicals that send messages to your body. So from your brain, your stomach, or whatever the message, it's a messenger. A hormone's a messenger. So when your messengers are off, your body's not getting the right message to put insulin out at the right time, or give you energy at the right time, or whatever that specific hormone's for. Like, for example, we have hormones that tell us when we're full and when we're hungry. Those hormones are affected by insulin itself, which insulin's a good thing. It's actually not bad as people think it is. But they're all interconnected. So your estrogen, when estrogen is high, you can hold water weight. So estrogen is something that makes you hold water weight. Progesterone is another sex hormone that's involved in pregnancy and periods and menstrual cycles, and that helps you release water weight. So they're all connected also. They don't just live individually. So when one is off, the others are going to be off. So if you're fluctuating because you're still nursing, and a lot of people believe that lactating is still part of pregnancy. And I absolutely believe that. I lactated for an additional 4 years, 2 years each kid, if not more. And so that's also part of it. Your hormones are just at the moment. So it does affect how your body reacts to certain foods, but it doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means you have to treat your body differently in that time. It also means that you, like, for example, if you think about it in a menopausal situation, you're just slower. Like, you don't have as much energy because your hormones are off. And so you're not getting the right stimulus to create energy in your body. So you're just slower. And what does that do? That actually just lowers how many calories you burn on a regular basis based on what you used to do. And pregnancy is kind of the same. Not only are your hormones making it harder to find energy, but you're also tired. So a lot of people believe that the hormones are the only reason why you gain weight or can't lose, and it's just part of the story. So they do affect it, in a lot of different ways.
And what about cortisol? I know we'll probably talk about this again later. We talk about stress.
Yeah.
But a lot of women, those first few years with small children, we have more stress because we're learning how to manage more different tasks. We might have a child that has some sort of an issue and we're stressed about that. We might have other things going on in life, like how do I manage my work and my kids and my personal, relationships. So I know cortisol is a big deal as well in and of itself with weight loss.
Yes,
right?
So cortisol is your stress hormone, right? So everyone these days, I feel like most people these days hear about cortisol all the time. And it is related to being postpartum in the fact that you're stressed. Your body has just done something amazing, which is stressful. You're healing, which is a stress on the body. So anything you do different is going to be a stress on the body. When you have external stress on the body, then you raise your cortisol. Cortisol is actually one of the only hormones that in and of itself can actually make fat cells. Like, it runs on its own. It's beautiful in terms of science, but you're like, what? Which is why people, when they're overstressed, tend to get body fat in their belly, because it'll sit there. And it's not a ton. It's not like you're going to put on 20 pounds just from cortisol itself. But cortisol it is stored in body fat and then creates its own body fat, which is really annoying. So you want to make sure that you can calm down all of the external stressors that you can, and internal stressors like trying to lose fat and not working and all these crazy things that cause you stress, right? So cortisol can do that, but cortisol also affects insulin sensitivity. So if you have too high cortisol for too long, not just today, but for too long, it affects insulin sensitivity, which affects how you process, not process, but how you utilize carbs. And so it does cause a lot to say, like I said, it's always going to be everything interconnected. So the cortisol does affect a lot of other things too, which if you keep your cortisol too high, your insulin sensitivity goes down. You do want to be sensitive to that. And then you want to make sure that you don't have it for too long, because that's what that can lead to prediabetes, which then is a whole nother host of things. And all of that can come from stress, right? So you want to make sure that your cortisol is at least under control, or you're trying, because the stress in life is what causes that to raise. Having that can also make you emotional, right? If your cortisol is always going to fluctuate. It's higher in the morning. It's what wakes you up. It goes down in the afternoon. And that's why everyone wants coffee in the afternoon. And then it goes up again. It naturally goes up again. You ever have that, like when your kids have that witching hour, like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock? That's because your cortisol naturally goes up. We think it's a bad thing because it affects us negatively. But your cortisol goes up, and then it goes down again before bedtime. So you naturally have high and lows. And when we are all messed up from lack of sleep or going on someone else's schedule, then your cortisol is like, what the heck? When do I go high and low? And it can be stressed out itself, like your production of it. So cortisol is major in terms of long-term effects, and it's okay to have high cortisol in the short term. Like workouts, they raise your cortisol. So a high intensity interval workout or a run or any workout, lifting, they raise your cortisol because you're putting your body into a stressful situation. But it's a positive increase in cortisol. You want that. It helps build muscle. It helps process. So it helps insulin flow through the body, which you use glycogen, which is from the carbs you eat, for energy while you work out, which is from carbs, which is affected by insulin because insulin lowers your blood sugar. So it's all like connected. So you do want that cortisol to rise, but you then want to lower it down. And the problem is when we're parents, whether you're postpartum immediately or 10 years down the road, you do a high workout and you raise that cortisol up here, which is a good thing, helps you recover. But then you keep that cortisol up here because you immediately leave your workout and you have a crying kid, or you have, I had a lady hop off a spin ride the other day because she had to go nurse right away. And I was like, please lower that cortisol real quick. We just did Tabata, So you don't give your time to lower the cortisol from your workout, and then you go into back to work or on a call or with crazy screaming kids, and you leave that cortisol up there, and that can then create that more long-term stress. So cortisol is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not good if we don't try to control for that. And that's what happens a lot. Like, I know when I was postpartum, I worked out at home or a gym, wherever I could, but usually when I was at home, one of the girls would be crying and I'd get angry. I don't know if anyone ever feels it, but people will tell me, oh my gosh, I feel that, and I always feel like a horrible human being. But sometimes when you work out real hard and then like a kid comes in and is like, I need water. You're like, hold on a second. You're like, whoa, why did I just snap? It's because your cortisol, your body is in this
fight or flight, right?
Fight or flight. And that's okay during workouts. It just happens. But sometimes we're like extra high and we get extra mad. So yeah, so it's important to control for that. And that can help. That cortisol does add to belly fat. But when it comes to body fat, it's going to be, we'll talk about this, but it's going to be all the calories that you intake, and having higher cortisol and a less response to insulin can lower your caloric needs. And then we'll probably get there too. So yeah, cortisol.
One of the things I really appreciated about because I did the 12 days of fitness that Nicci had running. I think it ends today, right? It's like the last day.
Okay, last day.
But one of the things I really appreciated on the workouts was you take that 2 minutes at the end and you're very intentional, saying we got to lower the cortisol so you can go back to your family and be calm and happy. And I talk to clients a lot about, take the 2 minutes at the end to stretch related to injury that they might have, or related to, you need to balance out the strengthening that you're doing in your muscle with mobility. But I think you take it to that next level of like, we've got to bring that cortisol back down so that when you go back to your kids, you're going down, and you're coming back up into a cortisol spike, but it's a legitimate, like, you're going back into a stressful situation versus you have a constant level of heightened. Cool. So the next question is totally related, but how does diet impact postpartum hormones? So we know that our hormones out of whack because we had a baby or because we're lactating, because we're stressed, but are there things we can do, like maybe a couple big things we can do to help mitigate those hormonal imbalances with nutrition?
Yeah. So nutrition drives hormones. I mean, lots of things do, but nutrition is very important because, like I said, a lot of things you do internally, like workouts, can cause that internal stress, and dieting is also part of that. So if you are eating lower calorie, that's a stress on the body. Yet again, another positive stress, if you are in the situation where you need to lose body fat, it is a good thing to do that to get yourself back in a healthy range, but it is also a stress, just like workouts. They're a stress on the body, but they're a good stress. So eating a low calorie can cause stress. The problem is eating too low calorie can cause extra stress. And so nutrition can certainly throw off a lot of the hormones, like your stress response hormones. But at the same time, nutrition has a big impact on all of your hormone production because carbs and fats drive hormones. So a lot of people think they should eat low fat. Well, fats actually so all of your cells, every single cell in your body, the cell wall is made up of fatty acids, which you get from fat. So if you don't eat enough, we even talk about aging. You want to turn that cell over quick, and you want that cell to develop really well because that's your skin cell, right? So you have to have fats for that. And this is when you're postpartum, like you are doing your body, your metabolism is on fire in a way because you're healing. Metabolism is all of the turnover in your body. It's not just eating and digesting food. It's all of the metabolic processes in your body. They're kind of on fire while you're healing. So you need to have enough food to fuel that as well. And then carbs also, carbs are important for energy. So your body's like, even if I have someone who's like injured from a workout they've done and they're like, I need to lower my calories. I'm like, not really, because your body is in a heightened metabolic state and you need those calories to build. They're like building blocks. And so you need to build your body back or those muscles back or whatever it is that you're doing. You need calories to build and make yourself stronger. And so there's a little bit of a, this rock and a hard place where you're like, I want to lose, but I also want to heal. And so you need to find a good calorie amount that's right for you so that you're not throwing your body out of whack by not having enough nutrients. So another situation is when you're nursing. I did bodybuilding in between both of my kids, and I'm telling you, I could put on muscle okay, but man, when you're nursing, they just suck that muscle right off your body. Like, you're like, where is this going? And so you need a lot of calories to build. And so it's not like go eat, you're not eating for two. You're just needing a lot of calories to help your body heal and keep muscle. And you want muscle because it's metabolic and it helps your body look good and feel good and eat more. So nutrition is really important for all things. Fats, carbs give you energy. Fats give you everything. I mean, you have vitamins that are fat soluble. You've got your cells, and then protein, of course, helps build the muscle or keep the muscle that you've got.
And I think we should pause and say, well, there's carbs and there's carbs, right? And there's fats and there's fats.
Right. So I'm not talking fried chicken carbs and fats. You want
brownie that you pulled out of the Christmas box.
Yeah.
Is maybe not the carbs and fats that you want. So can you speak a little bit to that quality of like what the foods are we choosing to get those carbs and those fats?
So I'm a big proponent, and then I'm going to go backwards. I'm a big proponent of being able to eat the treats, because if you do not allow yourself to have treats ever, you are eventually going to really give into that, right?
I totally agree.
Right? So whole foods all the way. Whole healthy foods should be the foundation of everything you choose, because you can pull energy, the calories equal energy, they're the same thing. You can pull energy from those in a way that benefits you. So you can pull energy from everything. I mean, you can eat a tablespoon of sugar and I'll tell you, you get energy from that sugar real quick because there's no fiber slowing it down. There's no fat slowing down the digestion. I mean, you can, but you don't have the fiber that's slowing down the digestion and is beneficial for your gut. And you don't have the fats that will slow down the digestion of that sugar, which is important, because if you don't slow down the digestion of a tablespoon of sugar, you're going to have a sugar spike and you're going to have a sugar crash. And that sugar crash is then what causes cravings, because your blood sugar is crashing, you're starving, it's causing cravings, and you also don't have the right mindset to say, I'm going to grab myself a healthy sandwich instead of a granola bar because you are starving. So it's like a real interconnected situation where you're not going to gain an unhealthy life of eating sugar every once in a while. But if you do that all the time, you get in that cycle of, I'm starving, I'm eating crap. I'm sorry, bad food. I'm starving, I'm eating sugar. I'm starving. You're going to be in a really horrible situation where your energy is going to tank and you're not giving yourself the nutrients that you need. And when you don't have nutrients, your brain doesn't function well, you're not fueling your body properly, and then you're going to go ahead and make all those not so good decisions for yourself. You need fiber. So whole healthy foods when it comes to carbs, oatmeals and whole grain things, because they come with fiber. And fiber helps flush your system. It helps mostly flush your system, but it also slows down the digestion of other things like any of the breads that you eat. You want to have bread. All breads, all carbs break down to simple sugar. I mean, they all break down to that. But you want the good stuff that's left over, like the fiber and the vitamins. And if you have foods that are very highly processed, like from, box meals, like, what are they called? TV dinners, the things you put in the microwave. I don't have a microwave, so I haven't had one in a long time. But those foods that are really highly processed, they lack a lot of the nutrients that you need, and they're very helpful. They truly are very helpful. So every once in a while, if you're like need something and it's a high protein, cool. But they also are devoid of a lot of nutrients, vitamins and minerals that you also need. So then you end up just trying to eat all of this food and get all your vitamins, and you're like in this situation where you have no idea what you're doing because you are just grasping at straws. And I think I went on a tangent right there, but.
Well, it's so funny because just through the course of our conversation, I'm looking over here at the questions I had. Like, we're touching on a lot of these.
Okay, good.
So we'll probably go back and maybe answer them more briefly because you've already kind of touched on them. But I'm trying to think where my brain was going to take us next was the calories, because you were starting to talk about that. So one of my questions was, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I have to cut my calories to lose weight, right? So let's just go back and briefly hit on what are the recommendations for caloric intake for weight loss? How do you translate that into postpartum and potentially lactating, right?
Yep.
How do you reconcile that with lactation?
Right.
So I don't know if you just have a brief, like, hey, these are kind of the guidelines for calories. This is how you want to adjust that.
Okay.
And then that kind of goes along with my question I was going to ask prior to that was, I know that too little nourishment and too much exercise can cause weight gain rather than weight loss because of the cortisol and all the hormonal stuff we were talking about. But how does a woman know if she is under eating or over exercising? So kind of maybe after you answer that calorie question, well, how does she know then in practice? Because I imagine she needs to adjust that. So how does she know if she's getting too few calories or if she's working her body too hard?
Okay.
That's two questions in one. Sorry, Nicci.
No, that's okay. I'm going to try to remember it all. So basically, the recommendations for calories for a postpartum woman is very similar to pregnancy. Pregnancy, they say you really only need 300 to 500 calories more. You're not really eating for two. It's 300 to 500 calories. That's like a snack. That's just one extra small meal. And it's kind of the same postpartum. Whether you're lactating or not, you're healing. Remember when I mentioned calories help you heal? It's kind of the same thing. And that's really all that recommendation is saying, is you just need 250 calories to, and everyone's going to be different. So, 250 calories to maybe 400 calories extra if you're actively lactating. And that's so different for everybody, because some people produce, like I produce enough for, like I always say, a small village, and some people have a real struggle and they're not producing a lot, and the actual production of it is using up calories. And you want to make sure that you have enough milk for your baby, and you want to also make sure that you have enough nutrients for yourself, because your kid is going to get what it needs, and that means that your milk's going to take it from your body if you're not giving it what it needs. So if your milk changes each stage for each baby, right? Every month is a little bit different content for that baby at that stage, and your body is going to put into that milk from you what it needs, vitamins, minerals, all of that, which means it's going to leave you with holes if you're not giving yourself the right amount of food. So it's not saying go eat a whole bunch because you're extra. It really is. 250 calories is like a smoothie. It's really not what people think. And so that's the recommendation. Now, when like I said, I did extreme things after children, because I was doing like bodybuilding stuff, competitions and such. So it's really extreme. And I kind of did that as an experiment because I like to experiment on myself rather than on others. And I was lactating all the times, all 5 times lactating the whole time. And I do work with postpartum women who are lactating both short-term and long-term. And my recommendation for anyone is, whether you're doing, I don't even coach people anymore, but when you want to lose weight when you're lactating or postpartum, whether you're not, is we make sure that we're giving you the right amount of calories for what the math says, because these are formulas. It's not like I just say, this is how much you should eat. There's an actual formula. There's 3 different options, or 4 different now, options for formulas for figuring out how many calories a person needs. Then what we do is we add in calories or take away calories based on your life situation. So I would have someone start at what I would calculate as their maintenance numbers for their calories, and then we would just adjust from there, to be honest. So you could take away that 250 or add 250 calories, and if someone's not seeing change that they want, then we take that away, or we just adjust on the person, knowing that I don't really take in consideration, like I wouldn't drop someone's calories extensively unless they still have milk, they still feel good, and everything's functioning well. So this will lead us into the next question. But so you only need an apple and peanut butter, technically. Like 250 to 300 calories is what you need to fuel that the milk production or the healing postpartum, however long it is that you've been. But hold on, I lost my train of thought. So, but the most important part is water. So I will put some at whatever calories we need and we'll adjust from there. But I always tell people, drink water. You know, a lot of people, and I did the same, but and it backfired. I mean, you're like, I'm gonna eat lactation cookies because I'm losing my milk. I need to have cookie. I mean, I eat Life cereal. I have celiac because I shouldn't have gluten, but Life cereal worked for me. So I would eat like a bowl of cereal and it was like, bam, there it was. It was crazy. So I would eat Life cereal and I added in all lactation cookies, and like, you're just adding like thousands of calories by eating all of these cookies, when in reality it's probably water. And you could do like fenugreek, you could do any other, you know, drinking things. You don't want to be adding in a ton of calories just because you're nursing. If you're focusing on maintaining a healthy weight or finding your healthy weight. So I always tell people, drink water, eat a good amount of calories. If fat loss is the goal, let's say you're in a range of postpartum, you're a little bit later than 6 months, it's okay that you want to lose. Some people will lose 3 months, but depends on the person. I want someone to be well established with their milk supply or well healed first, obviously. And then everything I do is individual. So really just say, drink that water. If you're losing, great. If your minute the milk supply goes, that's a good indicator if someone's lactating, is how's your milk supply? Okay, cool, drink the water. Didn't work, now we're gonna increase your calories. But the calorie amount, like you said, the calorie amount does not really mean a lot. I mean, it's not a lot of extra calories. So you could technically try and lose body fat and eat a healthy amount of fat loss calories. And I think people forget that. Like, there is a healthy amount of fat loss calories and there's an unhealthy amount of fat loss calories. And you will lose at both. You don't want to lose at eating 1,000 calories a day, because you will hit a plateau, and then where are you going to go from there? Right. Even lower than that? That's impossible. So eat at a healthy but lower amount of calories so you can work your way down and then work your way back up again. It's just a really healthy way of doing it. So then the question was, how do people know you're eating too low, right? So what is that unhealthy low amount of calories? Well, I do math. So I do the math and figure out what the math says you should do. And your body, especially postpartum, and then especially like hormonal and in any state, is your own specific body. So we get a baseline number of where maybe you should be, and then we would adjust that from there. But it's like a few hundred calories here and there, depending. And what someone who's not working with anyone in particular can look for is injury and healing. So if you are eating too low calorie and you're working out maybe too much, you can injure yourself because you don't have those calories to recover your body, right? So one of my major things is recovery. Whether you work out or not, recovery is central nervous system. We have one central nervous system that covers your brain and your body, the whole entire thing. So if you're stressed out emotionally and you're stressing your body out with workouts, it's eventually going to collide and you're going to have some sort of injury. Or you're not going to heal well from a normal, healthy workout. So if you find that you're sore for too long, people already have ligament issues, right? We have relaxin as a hormone, which is in your body, which loosens up that body. And a lot of people nursing, I have a client right now who's nursing long-term. I think they're just over a year now. And she's like, man, I'm still having relaxin issues. I'm still fine. She doesn't do our workouts. She does other workouts, but she's like, I got injured because I'm doing too much. And I'm like, okay, so, you have relaxin in your system still. Don't do that type of workout. Maybe heal your body better. And that's not necessarily nutrition related. We can't do anything about that. Nutrition doesn't affect that. However, if she pulls back on those workouts, then eats a little bit more protein, make sure she's got a real good amount of protein, we can try and find a happy medium for decent workouts and then enough protein for her nutrition. And that healing post-workout and recovery in between workouts can be helpful. Now, if someone doesn't work out, how do they know they're eating too few calories? Well, you're exhausted. You can't sleep enough. You're cranky. In the Stressless Lifestyle, we follow our ACMEs. And I have everyone check in with me all the time on ACMEs. And the ACME, the definition is your pinnacle. You're at your pinnacle when you're at the ACME point, right? But it's adherence. Can you adhere to your lifestyle? Can you stick to the diet you want to do? Can you stick to your workout schedule? Can you stick to that? We've got cravings. Are you having cravings? How's your mood? How's your energy? And how's your sleep? Those are the 5 ACMEs. Adherence, cravings, mood, energy, and sleep. If any of those are off and you can't just sleep more because you're already sleeping 9 or 10 hours, or you can't sleep more because you've got children falling everywhere, or your mood is cranky and you have no idea why. You can't, if there's all of these things that are off, then I say to someone, okay, well, maybe we should increase your calories. Maybe you need more food because your body's in a stressed state from life and from eating too few calories. We increase that calorie amount, and then maybe you feel better. Maybe you actually sleep better, or your mood is better. You're not as cranky. Like I said for a million times, everything's interconnected. So all of that, your cravings are related to your sleep is related to your mood is related to how well you stick to your nutrition and your fitness. If you can't do that and you're eating like nothing, maybe you should try and eat a little bit more. You might still lose.
Yeah, and we talk a lot to patients because we see a lot of patients with injury or pain, right, in physical therapy.
Yep.
And so often I'm, people are coming in where, okay, now coming in for my back, but now it's my knee, and now it's my ankle, and now it's my wrist, and all the normal things that should be making them feel better, they're just in this increasing constant inflammatory state. And often it's because a lot of the things that you're talking about, and not just calories, but our protein, but just like the global quality of what they're eating, and being pro-inflammatory versus anti-inflammatory. Right. So, putting them on a anti-inflammatory type of quality diet, and get rid of some of the inflammatory foods, I find is hugely important for getting rid of their pain, especially if they're having these acute on chronic or persistent injuries that are keeping them from doing the things that they want to do. Working out being one of those things. Hey, I want to switch to I want to switch to a question, because we had a question from one of my followers that I wanted. It's totally different question, and since we're getting low on time here, I just want to make sure we hit this one. What are the pros and cons of a vegan or vegetarian diet postpartum?
Okay.
Are there biggies that those folks should be aware of in this phase and wanting to exercise and lose weight? Are they going to get the nutrients they need? What are some ideas for vegan and vegetarian followers?
So it's going to come down to making sure that you can get the right quality of food if you are vegan or vegetarian. So I was vegetarian for the longest time. I actually started eating meat when I was pregnant because I'm already anemic, and I knew that, but I didn't really, when you're young, you're like, oh, it's okay. I don't feel horrible. But then I really needed it. So I eat meat now. And I always ate in and out anyways, so I was getting at least once a month. I was getting some sort of meat.
In and out doesn't count, right?
That totally doesn't count. So it does make a big difference, because you can be, if you are and your body changed, maybe you're anemic now, or maybe you are having some deficiencies because you're nursing and the baby's sucking them all out of you, or whatever it might be. You have to just make sure you're getting the right nutrients from the sources of food that you are choosing. So I'm not anti-vegan or vegetarian unless it's affecting you. So when you are especially vegan, you can be lacking in a lot of B vitamins, which we get from dairy sources or meat sources. You can get them. You just have to make sure you're getting enough of the food. So one issue I find with people who are strict vegan or vegetarian is that in order to get all of the nutrients and even all the protein you need, you actually have to eat more, because you have to eat more of it. So you have to eat more of the protein sources. So I'll get this in a second, but you have to eat more of the foods to get the same amount of protein that you would from meat. So let's say you drink even just a protein shake, whether a whey protein shake, which is dairy, is going to give you all of your amino acids that you need, all 20 that you need. When you have vegan sources, and I drink vegan protein, so I actually supplement with something in addition, branched chain amino acids or EAAs, which are essential amino acids, because you don't get all the same amino acids if you have a vegan source of protein. It can lack leucine, which you get from dairy or meat sources, and it can lack some of the other amino acids that you don't get. So they have to have a blend. That's why if you're vegan, you notice that you have to eat lentils or beans and rice. We all know beans and rice is a complete protein. They're called complete proteins because those together give you all the amino acids to make a full gram of protein, essentially. Where if you're eating meat or dairy or anything like that, you can have 1 gram of protein and have all of the things you need. It doesn't have any holes in it. So that's not a bad thing, except for when you're trying to stay low calorie and you're like, I'm only going to eat a little bit of this. Well, if you're only eating a little bit of your beans and rice, you're not going to get the same amount of protein in, let's say, 20 grams of this protein shake, you might get 10 grams of protein and, let's say ounces. So 20 ounces of this protein shake, you might actually get a whole 20 grams of protein. You're getting a whole amount of protein for a smaller amount of calories. More calories, same amount of protein. Smaller calories, same amount of protein. And that's a big difference. It's not wrong. It's just you have to take that into consideration. Same time, you want to make sure you're getting all of your vitamins. And a lot of people can be, anemic or missing vitamin Bs, or you'll get a lot of vitamin C's and A's and all that from the vegetables and stuff, but you just want to make sure you're getting enough. And also, they are higher in carbs. So if someone's worried about carbs, we do carb cycling. So we have low carb days because I like them. They play well with hormones, and we have higher carb days because high carbs play well with my emotions. So we do that's really good for lifestyle, right? And hormones. But you want to make sure that when you're eating vegan or vegetarian, you actually are eating a higher carb diet in order to get the same amount of protein. So that's something that's different. And so I say different, not wrong, because it's just a matter of if you like. I mean, if someone says you have to eat meat to get all the things that you want, but you're not going to stick to it, that's your adherence. You're not going to stick to it because you don't like it. Why do that? If you can stick to eating whole healthy foods, vegan and vegetarian, then do it. You just have to make sure you're getting the right amount. And that's why knowing how many carbs and how much protein, fat, and how many total calories you need, and within that, how much protein, fat, and carbs you need from those calories is helpful to make sure you get the right amount of protein, depending on wherever you get your protein source from. And then, of course, fiber. You get a good amount of fiber if you eat vegan and vegetarian, so that's really good.
All right.
Hope that helps.
We're going to do one more question because this was, and I'm going to reduce it from 3 to 1. So you can pick your top favorite. So what is the number one mistake that you think new moms make when trying to lose weight after having a baby? Number one mistake.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. There's so many.
I know. We might have to do another interview.
Doing too much. Can we just put them all in one? Doing too much. Doing too much exercise, doing too much dieting, doing too much as a mom, not resting. Everyone says, sleep when the baby sleeps. You're like, no, I have to fold laundry. Literally rest, because if you don't recover, rest, and sleep, nothing else is going to work. Like you can literally have decent nutrition, not perfect, but decent nutrition, and it will work for you if your body's functioning well. If you're sleeping, recovering your mind and your emotions and your body, and you're managing your stress, your nutrition will work better for you. So why eat less when you could sleep more and eat the same amount and have it work for you? I've literally had clients just focus on their stress, and the nutrition that wasn't working for them, that we had them doing, began working again without even having to eat less. Eating the same amount of food but managing stress helped reduce a lot of the extra water weight from cortisol, which makes you hold weight and all of these things. So yes, literally just doing too much. And I can go on and on about that, because you do need to watch what you eat. You do need to move your body. But if you do too much and you're raising a baby or 4 and all of those things, you're going to be spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
I see that so much. Yeah. With new
Having
moms.
is important. Having someone like you there to help you with your body and feeling better and moving more, and having someone there to help you, just keep track of the food you're eating. Make sure you're eating enough food. So many people this week were like, I'm finally eating enough again, which we find is some people are like, oh, I don't have a problem eating enough. And in reality, I bet you do. Everyone watches what they eat, just a little too much. You might need more protein or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This was so helpful. And obviously, we have more questions that we didn't get to, and questions upon good questions that we already asked. But I did want to just thank you for your time and for all your thought and effort and your assistance in helping me figure out the tech. And then I would love it if you would kind of tell people a little bit about this nutrition program that you have starting up on Monday, and then how they can find you and follow you and continue to learn from you if that is helpful for them.
Okay, so real quick, as my nutrition program is the Stress Less Nutrition Method, and it is a method in the fact that it's all personalized for everybody, whether they're a one-on-one client or they join the group. And the one that starts on Monday is a group, it's a membership. It's 7 weeks to begin with, and you get videos. I'm hand holding everyone There's a lot of information that goes along with trying to change your lifestyle, eat healthy, why we do what we do. And I have videos every day for the first 2 weeks. And then we've got 2 or 3 videos every week, kind of walk you through why you're doing what you're doing. We do personalized macros, which is your protein, your fat, and your carbs. All those together equal your total calories. So I do that math individual for everybody. And then we follow carb cycling. Now, carb cycling is not, you don't have to do that forever. Some people, I'm like, hey, maybe you should stop carb cycling right now. They're like, no, I love it. I'm doing it forever. And some people, after they finish their first 7 weeks of all the videos, they're like, I think I'm going to I like my regular day. I'm going to do that every single day. And we talked about that. But so it's personalized. We do carb cycling because it does help you learn to understand your body. And you want a flexible metabolism. You want one that can eat carbs and can eat fats and can pull energy from both of those. And it's helpful for your hormones to eat low carb for some people. And it's helpful, like I said, for your social life to have higher carbs because you want to have tacos or whatever. So you can fit those in. And it's about eating whole, healthy foods while understanding that if you try and take out all of the foods we normally eat all at once, you're going to tailspin because you don't know what to eat. So we slowly get into figuring out the wholer and healthier foods, and then pulling out some of those extra treats you don't always need to eat. Whole healthy foods. 7 weeks is called Jumpstart. That's your Jumpstart. You are a Jumpstarter when you do the first 7 weeks. And then after that, you just keep on going until you feel like you don't want to. Some people do it for a long time. Some people do it until they hit a certain look or feel or number on the scale. And it's just, everyone's different. But it starts Monday. So registration is open, and like I said, it's personalized. If anyone ever has any questions, or if you're like, what is this about? The website is www.stressless-lifestyle.com. And you can go look there under the nutrition tab, all the information there. You can just send me a message and I will answer your questions. We can always set up a phone call. I like talking with people because clearly I like to talk a lot. You can find me on Instagram. I do most informational stuff is on Instagram. It's NICCI_stressless. So Nicci_stressless. And that's me.
Maybe add those to the comments when we're done. Yeah, so people have them.
So yeah, you can find me there. And the first week is Success Week, which is like a prep week. So if you're like, oh my gosh, it starts on Monday, I don't know what I'm doing. Don't worry, no one knows what they're doing. That's what the first week is about. There's a grocery list, a grocery haul, there's a welcome packet. It is all done either online or in a Facebook group. If you don't like Facebook, then you can do it on the back end, a little less interaction, but I'm still there for you. I like it. I mean, I love running it. I love having people see change, and it's going to be good. And, if you feel like you're behind because it's already the 5th of January, you're not behind. No one has done the real stuff. No one's done the real work yet. Like, we forget. We have to get kids back to school, back to work, back to life. Next week's for you. Next week's your week to get it together.
It's not about a race, right? Like, it's not it's New Year's and therefore I have 3 months to lose all of the weight. Like, no, it's New Year's is just maybe the instigator for you to be like, I know I need a change. And you start it when you're ready to start it, right?
Right.
And then it's about being sustainable.
Right. It's a long term. It's not a race. It's not. The faster you go, the worse off you're going to end up in the end. Because you didn't learn along the way. You have no idea what you're really doing. Someone just told you what to do along the way. And then you can actually regain your weight plus some. And that's hormonal too. Actually, hormonal response to quick fat loss is regaining it. Who wants to waste 3 months or even 2 months of trying to lose to end up worse off in the end? That's not how it works. It's not
yo-yoing is awful.
Yeah. So it's long, sustainable, healthy. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Nicci, again so much for all your wisdom. And we'll get this interview. It'll be posted, and then I'll probably also put it on my website. We'll send out an email with it. I'm going to hopefully convince Nicci to do a blog for us at some point in the future.
Yes.
So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.
And